All right. Welcome, everyone. My name is David Chan. I'm the Director of Instructional Technology at Evanston Township High School, and I just presented a session, EDU on Air, on student tech support centers. But this session, I'm proud to introduce my fellow colleague at ETHS, Mina Marion, who's going to present on effective professional development for one-to-one Chromebooks. So without further ado, and she's got a great star-studded panel of a couple other educators on the line, so I'm excited to hear more about it. So without further ado, this is Mina Marion from Evanston Township High School on effective professional development for one-to-one Chromebooks.
Okay, thank you, David. I'm going to take over here. All right, welcome everybody. Like David said, I am Mina Marion. I am the Instructional Technology Specialist at Evanston Township High School, and thank you for that introduction. I also have some great people here with me, as David mentioned. I'm going to quickly just introduce them so you kind of know who's talking to you before we take over the screen with our presentation. So joining us from Stevens Point Public School District in Wisconsin is Jeff Melsna. Here we go, Jeff, here you are. Wave to the camera, there's Jeff. And then also from, let's see, Maine East District 207 in Park Ridge, Illinois, we have Mike Cannizzo. There he is. All right, so they're on mute, but they're ready to go when they're up. So, like I said, welcome to this session on one-to-one professional development for Chromebooks. Really excited to be here with you guys today and tell you more about some of the great things that we're doing at our school, as well as some schools in the area. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you. All right. So, like I said, we're going to talk about professional development for one-to-one Chromebooks. If you're joining us and want to access these slides later, I do have the shortened link there at goo.gl/45, capital T, capital X, capital H, and then the number 8. You can get to that later at any time. But I'm going to go ahead and get started. Again, that's my name, Instructional Technology Specialist from Evanston Township High School in Evanston, Illinois, broadcasting to you right now from Chicago, where I live. My location information and my contact info can be found on my website, or you can also use a Twitter handle or my Google Plus page. And I am also an authorized Google Education trainer, which is one of the reasons I'm happy to join you guys at this great event today. So the description of this session I thought would be helpful for you to see, just to remind you why you're here, and if you're not here for this one, then feel free to find another one. But this session is going to focus on professional development, one-to-one Chromebooks, and we're going to talk to different people about some strategies, plans, events, and resources that they've created, that they're using, and that we're using at our school to ensure teachers can augment and redefine learning in a one-to-one environment, right? That's what a lot of us are trying to do, and sometimes we need some ideas and help along the way to get us there. So hopefully you'll leave today with some of those ideas. I like to start with this image because this really, to me, encapsulates what really professional development is. Professional development is that below the surface iceberg, right? We look at the top of the surface and we see, oh, look at this great thing. All the kids have Chromebooks and they're using them and they're happy and the teachers are happy and we're all having a great time. But what you don't see is everything that went into that, right, that supports that structure. And if you see the opposite, right, maybe you see a lot of people using Chromebooks, or the kids have Chromebooks but they're not using them, then maybe there isn't something missing in that foundation. So all these ideas we're going to share with you are about how to build that foundation to really support that iceberg that you're creating with the Chromebooks in the classroom. But then, kind of the opposite of that, we also want to know, how do we strike a passion and a fire inside of our teachers and everyone using Chromebooks to help them really stay engaged and to get excited about what we're doing. Now, we know striking a match is kind of a quick thing that happens, but it's not always something that burns forever. So how do we go from this spark to kind of something where we have teachers who look like this, right? These are teachers after 2 full days of professional development on Chromebooks. I mean, I don't know how many professional developments I've walked away from where I look like that at the end, but that's what we're going for. Right? We want to know, how do we make that spark into something that's exciting, motivating for teachers, and helps them get ready to use this with kids. And hopefully at the end of this, that's where we'll be. The first thing to kind of point out, and I think you'll probably hear this throughout, is that we're trying to build a culture of learners, and that includes children and adults. right? And the key component to this is really that word culture. We can't go from 0 to 60 in one step. We really need to take those steps in between to make sure we're building a culture that supports that sort of learning. And in this presentation, we'll talk more about some strategies and ideas for doing that. Okay, so one thing that we always talk about, right, is the SAMR model. We want to make sure people are comfortable with this and understand how, really you can use SAMR to reflect on your own teaching and the way you're using technology in the classroom. And I think that's a really important piece. If we're not giving teachers the framework to help them think and reflect, I mean, I know teachers ask students to reflect all the time, and teachers themselves are very reflective people. So if we're not giving them the tools to do that, we don't really have a good starting point. So I think this is something you definitely want to include when you're designing professional development, but also to be conscious of this hype cycle, right, that comes with technology. When technology kind of gets into our lives, we kind of have this really exciting time, right? That picture of those teachers after that 2-day professional development, they were kind of at the top of that peak, right? These expectations of, wow, this is going to be awesome, the world's going to be changed, we're going to tomorrow, right, we're going to do that. But we often experience this trough of disillusionment, and the disillusionment comes from the fact that you think, oh my gosh, well, all of this stuff is possible, but what about, how am I going to do it? Like, I don't know how to do any of these things. And I just had a conversation with the teacher yesterday where she was like, oh my gosh, are there guides online for all this? And I was like, don't look at a guide. Pick one thing you want to do, work towards it. And that's really what professional development is. And we start to build up these different strategies for professional development that bring teachers finally to this area of productivity where maybe it's not everything they thought it was the second they looked at the device and heard that first keynote presentation, but it's working for them, right? It's working for them and it's working for the kids. And that's really what we care about. Okay? So we often, when we do our presentations, and work with teachers, we show them this and say, look, you're going to experience this. So right now you're super excited, but get ready for working through those little things to get us there. Okay? We don't want to try to make it seem like this is going to be a panacea for all their woes, but this is something that they can work towards and grow to. So one great resource that many of our schools have is this role that is maybe called a technology coach, maybe an instructional coach, maybe an ed tech coach. I actually put this word cloud together just from looking at all of the people I follow on Twitter and what they call themselves. So, all these people have a role in the school that gives them access to professional development times, maybe meeting with teachers one-on-one, leading professional development. We have to be able to harness that person and that role in our schools to help teachers move forward, right? Some schools don't have this role, and that's definitely an area to look at when trying to improve programs to make sure that teachers can feel that they have the support that they need. So whoever this person is in your school, they've got to have it, and you've got to work towards having the teachers use that as a resource. Okay. One thing that we do, particularly at Evanston Township, is we run something called Chrome Camp. Chrome Camp is something created by myself and David Chan, who helped introduce this, where we really give teachers that kind of 2-day boot camp of different ideas and strategies to help them use Chromebooks in the classroom. First off, all the teachers get a Chromebook when they come, which is huge. We tell them you can use Chrome, not a big deal, just use Chrome. On your desktop, it's the same, but it doesn't feel the same to them, right? So one thing that you can do is make sure you're giving teachers access to the technology you're going to give kids, because they want to know that in their hands they are holding the same thing that their kids will walk into their classrooms with. So during Chrome Camp, we have definitely sessions on technology led by myself and by David, but we also have teachers run these sessions themselves, right? Teachers who have been in pilot programs, maybe with Chromebook carts, teachers who have, let's see, sorry, I got distracted by the chat there. So teachers who've often, been using these in different ways. Maybe they had laptops, maybe they had netbooks, maybe they had, Chromebooks or iPads, but we want them to be the leaders. So really working to try to build your institution, and the people who are actually supporting this program can't just be your technology coach, right? You have to build that from within. And so during Chrome Camp, we've had many of them over the years now. We've had 8, last year was the original. We've done summer. We've done a reunion sort of for the more advanced people. We've done camps this spring. We plan to do some this summer as well. Also a Chrome Camp College for people who are, the most advanced, but all of this giving them the opportunity to lead each other in great ways and great things in the classroom. Another tool that we use is something called Tech on the Terrace. The terrace you see a picture of there is our teacher cafeteria. I always think of it sort of like Hogwarts. But you can see David and I in the corner there getting set up to give just kind of lunchtime talks about things that are going on that we think that the teachers might want to know. Make it informal, make times for them to access it when it's working for their schedule. It's really important that professional development fit into teacher schedules and that it's not, you know, forced outside of school, right? It needs to be something that they can feel accessible and work with, you know, and get all their papers graded at the same time. Another thing that we've done recently, this was actually a couple days ago, David and I participated in a special Tech on the Terrace where we turned it into sort of like the Mayweather-Pequeno fight, right? The two of us did a demo slam, and we invited the teachers to come to it. We hyped it up, right? So we made flyers and we sent emails. The emails were really fun to write. You know, got a lot of feedback from teachers that it was so fun to read. We also streamed this from the terrace. If teachers couldn't make it to the terrace, we streamed it on Google Plus just like this. You see us there introducing. We had our boxing gloves on, talking about what we were going to do. We made it fun for them. And we had people join in online, we had people join in person, but we also have that as a record now, so anyone can go back and watch those who wants to see them, you know, that missed out. We even had a teacher who, you know, didn't have time to leave her classroom. She was eating lunch. She's a new mom, so she was stuck in her room, and she said, hey, I got to learn at the same time as you know, being in my classroom shut away. So kind of creating that hype, even if people aren't coming to it, you're building a hype and excitement for it that really does permeate the staff. As David talked about in a previous session earlier today, you know, also thinking about how students can support PD. We have something called the Chrome Zone, a student tech support center, and it's a place for them to, you know, fix Chromebooks, but it's also a place to get help. And, you know, more and more teachers have come by and asked our Chrome techs, you know, what can they do to help them, and I don't even have to kind of step in. The teachers interact with the kids, and the kids can even go out to the rooms to help support teachers. So another group of people to harness to help you with your professional development at school. Other ways to hype it up, things like Goose Chase. This is a scavenger hunt that I developed that involved, you know, taking pictures all over the school, but we want to get Chromebooks in there. We had teachers running around, finding Chromebooks, taking pictures of them. Again, making it something exciting for them where they felt they had a part in it. It wasn't just excitement for the kids. I mean, we love gadgets too. We love new fun toys, and I think they love new fun toys. So finding ways to build that all in to your professional development time. This was, you know, right before school started, or actually on one of the institute days. But working with your administration to find time to have fun with it, because it's fun for us too. But then you think, okay, school's out, and then we often have, you know, the match goes out, right? We have that. It happens to kids, it happens to teachers. But this doesn't have to be the case. We don't only have to have in-person professional development, right? There are things you can do, like sending newsletters. Newsletters is, you know, it's a great way to get information out to teachers. You can do that in an email. You can have that coming all the time. But, you know, there's even newer ways to do that. We can do online MOOCs. So one thing we did is develop these different self-paced courses, you know, using Google Forms, using Kia, using Autocrat to kind of send out new information and links as people move through this. So a great way for teachers to kind of get this work over the summer, and some of them even did it from the beach, which was great to hear. In addition, you can also do something like smaller than that. We've done something called 15 and 15, which is an online professional development challenge. Teachers each have to complete 15 tasks from a set of about 60 that we came up with. They hit the Start Here button. It sends them to a form where they fill it out. Autocrat sends them back a journal where they need to journal their tasks, and once they've kind of put their 15 tasks in there, whichever ones they thought were most useful, they hit Finish Here. You know, we get that notification with some feedback, and then they do win a special Chromebook case. So that was a lot of incentive. We've had many teachers do this with a lot of positive feedback on that. Other things, you know, always having a page on the website for teachers to get to is really useful, as well as blogging. We do use a blog at our school, and encourage not just myself and David to blog, but also the teacher. So here's a teacher who blogged about, you know, he has like thousands of YouTube followers, and it was amazing. I said, why don't you blog about that? Like, no one in the school knows that. Make sure you let us know. So he's had, yeah, all these hits, like 535,000 hits on some of his chemistry videos, and a place for teachers to then share with each other what they're doing. We also have a website that we run with all this information kind of in one place, so people can see, or the teachers can go and find, what they're looking for, information about conferences, information about places to go to get help, information about what's up and coming in our professional development calendar. So lots of digital resources. And you don't have to create everything. There's a ton out there already, right? On the web, you can find what you're looking for. Recently we did the Basics, Google Basics for Teaching course, and that was a great way for the teachers to kind of just log in, do something through Google, and it wasn't facilitated by me, but they still got that special feedback. Conferences, obviously a great way to go as well. So I'm going to stop there and just kind of summarize, we're trying to get teachers going. We want to keep that match burning, right? Not just that one spark, but slow burn, move into each until they all can kind of come together and build that momentum in the teacher world that also will pass then to the students. All right, with all that being said, that's kind of an overview of what we're doing at ETHS. I do want to throw it now to Jeff Melsna, who's the Technology Integration Specialist at Stevens Point, Wisconsin, and I'm going to do the slides for him, and so take it away, Jeff.
All right, thanks, Mina. As Mina said, my name is Jeff Melsna. I've gotten to be a full-time tech integration specialist this year. Last year I was a full-time teacher and then a part-time tech integration specialist. Our story is a little bit different. We had local support from a local business that actually came in and supplied a one-to-one program at the high school level with laptops, and that happened about 7 years ago. So we've had that at our senior high. And when we did that, we only had one full-time tech integration coach in a building with about 1,100 students. We, at the time, had it to be very scripted for our teachers as they went through the program. And it was a great learning experience when we looked back. We saw the students loving it and buy-in from some of our staff, but some of our staff, because of a lack of support, really struggled. As time went by, we were able to create more support within the district and the community, and now we have 4 full-time tech integration specialists. And on the right side of the slide that you're looking at right now kind of summarizes the coaching cycle that we look at. We're putting a lot of emphasis now based on the feedback that we have with teachers on that embedded coaching piece. So where I'm actually able to be in the classroom, the other tech integration specialists are actually able to be in the classroom now with our teachers. Currently, we're still one-to-one take-home laptop at the high school. The 2 junior high schools in which I work are one-to-one with Chromebooks in 7th grade and one-to-one with laptops in 8th grade. And then our elementary schools are a 3-to-1 arrangement with either Nexus tablets or Chromebooks. And what we really learned as we went through the process is that we need to be there on demand for our teachers in the classroom. It's been my favorite part of my job is being in there and still working with the kids. But we've seen a huge uptick in our response from our teachers by providing that embedded support. If you want to click to the next slide, Mina. The model that we have that's up on the slide right now kind of summarizes our professional development. This was put together by Dr. Brian Casey. He's our tech director. And it really encapsulates what we were trying to do as we went throughout our planning for the years and looking to the future. We didn't have this in the past. We really didn't have a strategic plan. So this was really what we put forth to the district and to our teachers, something that they could look at and see where we're going. The big pieces for me that I was excited about was really the planning phase. Each one of our teachers, we created a teacher profile that we created on Google Forms. That learner profile gave us a great view of how we could best support the teachers, and it gave us some feedback on things that we could offer that would be really well received. We also work with Bright Bites and use their case assessment. This has allowed us to get a feel for both what our students and teachers need. And then we work with our teachers and have two formal meetings a year. These are very short, but it's a great opportunity for us to get in with the teachers and figure out ways that we can work and move them forward. What I always tell my teachers is I don't care where you finish. All I care is that each time we move forward, just like with the students, we get a chance to show you growth. When we look at our delivery model, we've done multiple different options. Definitely what we found to be the most effective has been our embedded coaching piece. When we've been able to be in the classroom with the teacher, working, develop lesson plans, that's been by far and away the most effective, and it's where we've seen our most sustained growth. We've rolled out statewide testing this year. We're using the Badger exam, and that's really been a great way for me to get in the classroom and offer support for the teachers. My sell there was, and it has worked really well, not everybody loves taking these tests. They take a lot of time out of the classroom, and we need to prepare our students, but let's do it with your curriculum. So we were able to use the models that the test questions were formulated on, but we were able to use the curriculum that the teachers had in the classroom, and that really allowed us to develop some awesome activities for the students. And like Mina had mentioned, it's really important that they have fun. Some of it's really spontaneous. We set up a green screen in each one of the junior highs. We just rolled it out, and literally the day I sent out a sample video to show teachers, I had one of the English teachers come back and say they were doing a creation story activity, and I had eighth graders coming in there wanting to learn how to do it. And I got a chance to go in the classroom and see the results, and it was amazing. She came up afterwards and gave me a high five and said how engaged her class was in the discussion that green screen created, rather than just having the kids stand up in front of the class and talk. We've also worked with collaborating with our local universities, and of course when we looked at how we structured our trainings, just like a teacher in the classroom, we wanted to show standards. So we used the ISTE standards when we created ours, and then we really focused our trainings on 3 goals a year. So this year we're a GAF school, so we have Google. We use Moodle as our learning management system, so we're starting to scale that up. Next year we're going to kind of move that to step 2. And then because we have multiple devices out there, we kind of have a device boot camp, similar to what Mina mentioned in the summer. Ours was only a 1 day. Next slide, Mina. So kind of to wrap it up, really what I wanted to look at was the successes we've had. We started this year a Tech Ninja program. So these are student helpers that are able to come in. They're starting to work with our IT personnel in the building. They're helping tear down computers. That's been really fun to watch. A couple of the teachers got a little nervous the first couple times we did that, when there were some 7th graders in their rooms pulling out memory and resetting it. But it's been a great learning experience for the kids, and it's been awesome to have them go forward and talk about that. Then on the bottom under areas of improvement, I think there the one we're really excited about is looking forward to our telepresence piece. That's been where we've been really excited. We've had a lot of fun working with one of our local universities on that, and we're really excited to see how that goes looking to the future. So, Mina, if you want to turn it over to Mike, that'll kind of wrap up my slides for me.
All right, thanks so much, Jeff. I'm going to throw it over now to Michael Cannizzo. Here he is again, in case you guys didn't know. I don't know if you see him or not, but I'll stay on my slides here, and we'll take it over with Mike.
Hello, Mina, and everybody else. Thank you for the introduction. Yeah, if we can go on to the next slide. My name is Mike Cannizzo. I'm the technology manager at Maine East High School in Park Ridge, Illinois. I've been at Maine East for about 15 years, seen a lot of technology initiatives come and go, and probably out of all of them, the Chromebook and the Google Apps initiatives have been the most fun and probably the most productive and most engaging for students along the way. So as you can see, I think the road to a successful one-to-one program is paved through professional development. I agree a lot with what Jeff and Mina talked about in terms of, making things fun and offering things in a variety of formats. That's always one of the hardest things I think about professional development and education is we don't get a lot of time. So having websites and digital resources, and I think it's really about developing letting teachers develop a personal learning network and sort of that model and becoming lifelong learners anytime, anywhere, which is what we really want to model for our students. I think that's really important. We've found over the years that no matter how much professional development you offer, it can be hard to, get everyone on board at the same time or all going in the same direction. So just the more variety you can offer and in terms of, self-guided activities or live sessions or sending people to conferences, the more opportunities you provide and the more formats, I think the better off your program is going to be. And I think we've seen a lot year to year that things can change. This year we're starting our evaluation program in our district, and it really just put a strain on our tech professional development. So getting into what our plan is, I think going into it, whether you're just starting your program or you're into it in a little bit or along the way, I think there's a few things you can think about in terms of what are the elements to a successful program. And obviously it's knowing where things are going, what the best practices are, knowing where you're at in a cycle of technology, because sometimes money kind of comes and goes. So that's very important to know that. Knowing the district strategic plan is very important. We're putting a lot of emphasis on assessment and project-based learning and these sorts of things. And if you're not in tune with that, with your professional development plan, I think it can be counterproductive. So, and at District 207, particularly at Maine East High School, we have a planning team of myself, some teacher leaders and administrators. We feel that gets all the key stakeholders. We will tap in with parents and students from time to time, but our planning team is made up of those people from those areas. We do surveys. We survey both the teachers and the administrators to determine what the needs are in the building. And we always plan ahead. We're already planning for next year by taking surveys now, what people thought of how we did this year and what we need to do next year. I already talked about a variety of formats and collecting feedback. That's where we're at right now in our cycle. You can go to the next slide, Mina. I know we're running out of time. So just some milestones. We started with our first one-to-one pilot in 09 and 10. It was with netbooks. So there was some very focused PD with those teachers. It was in a special program we have for freshmen. It was about 100 students. That eventually evolved into 2011 with our first year of pilot Chromebooks. And then in 2013, we went to one-to-one with Chromebooks. We issued it just to freshmen and sophomore. This year we added freshmen. Next year we added freshmen again, so we'll have all 4 classes. And just real quick, going back to the SAMR model that Mina mentioned earlier, I think that's kind of what you see. I didn't get a graphic on it, but if you look at our PD focus, in the beginning it was a lot of that, substitution and some of the more simple things just to get people to use technology. Now that people actually have devices in their hands, we're actually redefining the way students are doing learning in the classroom. We can go on to the next slide. So our professional development model, kind of said some of these things already. We have a team of leaders who do the planning. The amount that we provide varies year to year. It depends on what other initiatives are going on in the district. But we generally try to hit several sessions a month. I definitely like some of the ideas that Mina and Jeff had talked about and trying to make things more fun and spontaneous. I'd like to incorporate some more of that into ours. But we do offer live sessions, drop-in help. We do have a Chrome Depot where our students are available and teachers are seeing them become more of experts to drop in and learn about Google Apps and Chromebooks. We offer a variety of formats, 1 period lunch and learns, and then longer sessions depending on the content. We'll often offer maybe a 1 period to introduce a topic, and then a 2 or 4, sometimes a whole day session. And the key factor for us is we're able to get subs. So that's one way we can get buy-in from teachers is, they don't have to stay after school or come in on other times. They can do it during the day, and that's really helpful. Probably our big event every year is we have what we call a technology and learning event called TASTE, which I noticed that the notes aren't up to date here. I added a few things in last, but when you go to the presentation, you'll see I added a few notes to this. But every year, about this time of year, we get all the teachers together, and we have them do presentations. It's about an hour and a half, 2 hours long. It's during our Institute Day, and a key part of our model is that a lot of our professional development is teacher-led, whereas I'm a technology member. I've been in education for 15 years, but I'm not in the classroom, so I can do a lot of the training. But we really like to bring teachers in to do to get that classroom hook and how it's actually being used in the classroom. And during our TASTE annual mini conference, we usually have 3-4 sessions throughout the day that teachers can go to, and it's teachers learning from other teachers, so it's a great thing. So that's our plan there at Maine East. Mina, thanks for having me, and I guess we'll throw it back out there.
All right. Thanks so much, both to Jeff and to Mike, for helping out with that. I know we have David here with a couple questions. We're a little bit over time, so if people are starting to pop out, no worries. If we wanted to answer just a couple questions, I'll throw it to David, who's moderating.
Great. So on the web, I see a couple questions. Really quick one, I think, for Mr. Milsna. Would he be happy to disclose which business gifted the one-to-one at the high school?
Yeah, we were able to get that from Century Insurance. They're, I believe, our largest local private company, and it was a great surprise, and they've been supporting us ever since. So they've been just a phenomenal asset for our public school.
Excellent. And then this is for anyone. Mr. Jason asks, we're going 1-to-1, 3 to 5 grades next year, been BYOD this year. Any pitfalls to avoid? So either, I know, any pitfalls for transition from BYOD to 1-to-1, or just in general, maybe 1-to-1, any pitfalls to avoid?
I guess I can take this. I think when we went to our full 1-to-1 program, providing enough training up front and providing teachers access to the Chromebooks like Mina had suggested is really key. Whatever your device is, just teachers having them or being able to use them and get a comfort and feel for them before they're rolled out, I think is key. And a lot of times we had a whole bunch of questions. There's a lot of fears that things that never really come true. So we had all these contingencies and what ifs and all these things that people were worried about, and once they were able to see them, we relieved a lot of their fears, and then once the students got them, the teachers were a lot more comfortable with them.
Okay, a request to add some examples of your staff and student surveys to the shared doc. So you guys can probably do that after the presentation. Again, adding examples of staff to student surveys to the shared doc. Tech on the Terrace sounds a lot like Lunch and Learn. So I think a lot of us have done Lunch and Learns. And this question was about how do you suggest overcoming the new teacher coming in every 5 minutes? So like Mina and I, we experienced that, right, during our battle. We did rounds every 3 minutes, so it didn't matter, for at least for that scenario. But any suggestions on kind of the in and out, the traffic coming in and out for Lunch and Learns, or probably any, even after school PDs, morning PDs, teachers are always kind of coming out. How do you combat that? Or any suggestions on that? Oh, make sure I'm here.
I can add to that a little bit. I think one thing is to make sure you have, even if you have like a 40-minute period, to have shortened presentations. So plan to only spend 5 to 10 minutes to pitch or talk about what you want to talk about, and then you kind of do like mini cycles throughout a period, so people are kind of seeing it. And then you can be a little bit more flexible with who comes in. If someone comes in who really wants to get all their personal questions answered and there's no one else there, then great, like we'll answer all their questions. But if they've seen the round and then you say, hey, I'm going to start this over again, so if you've been this part, feel free to leave or stick around if you want to hear it again, and then they kind of get up and get those cues. So also, like David said, having things like shortened rounds. When we did our demo slam, they were 3 minutes. People would come for a 3-minute session and pop out when they were ready to go.
Okay, and lastly, this is for anyone, how do you train your students to help teachers?
Well, I can jump in on that. In our Chrome Depot, we're lucky enough to run an internship program, so it's guided by a certified teacher, and part of the curriculum for that is that they have to train on, we do the Microsoft because we can offer them certifications, but we also go through some of the Chrome training that's available either directly from Google, the Google Education site, or through like a Chrome Ninja program. So, and it's just a matter of them being there and getting asked the questions. They're learn. We have an adult in the room, so we tell them don't be afraid to say, I don't know, I'll find the answer. And then they can ask the adults in the room or do the research and get back to it, because I think it's important that nobody has all the answers. So teaching students to find the right answers, I think, is important. But yeah, they catch on pretty quick, and if you provide them the resources, they'll learn it.
All right. Well, I want to thank David for moderating those questions for us. Thanks again to Jeff Melsna and to Mike Cannizzo for joining us today. I know we're a little over time. If there's other questions, we'll make sure to get those out there answered in writing, and I think we can connect those to the resources page. So check back if your question wasn't answered. We'll get to that as soon as we can, and thank you for joining us for EDU On Air. I think we're out. Have a good one.
Thanks, Mina.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Mina.